Hi and warm greetings to you wherever you're watching us from. This is the Young Diplomats of Ghana, YDG podcast channel. And in this episode, it is titled Green Goals, Small Changes, Big Impact. Sounds interesting, right? Stay tuned and let's delve into the discourse. My name is Meldon Agyarkwa and I'll be your host for this session. I'm going to give the opportunity to our panelists to introduce themselves.
Okay, my name is Sandra Agbley, and I'm currently a youth leader at the United Nations Population Fund and a podcast host for EcoClimb.
Hi, my name is Godwin Yao Doe. I am a young diplomat with the Young Diplomats of Ghana and a vice creator to the Global Shapers community.
Hi, my name is Nabeela Abubakari. I am the founder of Go-To Initiative, a grassroots community-led sustainability organization.
Nice. Before we begin our session, I'd like to pose a rhetorical question to you, our cherished viewers. Climate change, what is it? What are its impacts? Is it really an existential threat or is it just a hoax? So my dear panelists, Godwin, I want to begin with you. What is climate change and what are its impacts? Just a background on it.
Okay, to give a brief background and put it on the low for each and everyone to understand, climate change, I would say, is the shift or a change in weather patterns. So, for example, if you consider our weather patterns keenly, you realize that there's a disconnect in the consistency where, let's say, farmers are unable to predict when to sow and when to reap their crops. Some end up with no yield or low yield simply because the weather is unpredictable. Certain actions influence all of this, and I think that's what we delve into as we move forward. But basically, it's a change in weather conditions over a period of time.
Great. Nabeela, any intervention?
Not quite. I wouldn't be able to give an intervention without being too technical. But I think a clarity I'd like to bring into this conversation and for the audience to also understand is that a change in weather pattern or inconsistencies is not equal to catastrophe, so to speak. And that's not also equal to we are doomed to an apocalypse. But it means that we should be keen to understand what these changing weather patterns are and more keenly be ready to make the investment and commit the resources that need to be committed to deal with the changes, all the while trying to understand the changes.
Great. Sandra, would you want to add anything?
Well, yeah, I think we humans don't really feel the impact of it as happening because we are seeing it as a normal thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong in the weather change. I mean, it's raining. I mean, when the rainy season, it's definitely going to rain. So, I mean, our activities also distorting like the climate change, like our burn of fossil fuels into atmosphere, rising sea levels, and we're not seeing it. So, I mean, we feel it's a normal thing, but we have to raise our voice on it.
And just to add up, people feel climate change is far from them.
Yeah.
They feel it's a technical jargon. And one attitude of Ghanaians I would like to see is that if the problem is not at their doorstep, then it doesn't concern them. Rising sea levels, I don't live in the coast, so what are you talking about? But they've forgotten that it's a cycle. We're living in the circular economy where things are highly interconnected. So the more complex it gets, the more complex solutions we will need. So basically, I think that's what I can add to the conversation.
Okay. So as young people, how can we contribute to the conversation on sustainability in our schools and communities? Godwin?
So looking at young people's participation in taking action against the impacts of climate change, right? Let me take it in two folds.
Okay.
When tackling issues around climate change, we have adaptation and we have mitigation.
Okay.
So adaptation is like taking 4 steps to prevent issues from getting worse. You can't stop it. You can't prevent to some extent, but you can take an action to mitigate, to just reduce the impact. So it's highly interconnected. Mitigation and adaptation is interconnected. But then if I'm a young person who understands this, the best I can do from my end is just to advocate and also put in some sustainability practices in my daily lives. So if, let's say, I'm going to school or I'm going to work or I'm going out, instead of littering about, I just need to find a very good way of managing that waste and dispose it properly.
Okay.
If I know I can't, carry a bottle along with me, then I just need to have a bag as well so I can keep it in there. And if you feel like, you can avoid the use of a lot of paper by going digital. You adapt to that system. And if you also understand that, okay, one, if I am unable to maintain a good environment, it's going to lead to other forms of disasters, like the choking of our gardens is because of improper disposal of waste. So if you understand all these concepts, you act it out, and people will then emulate that from you. It's just like walking the talk, basically. So that is one thing I think young people can also do from their end.
Okay. So does Ghana have a climate action plan? And as young people, how can we influence this? Nabeela?
Yeah, I think Ghana has a climate action plan. I think very recently we've even got a circular economy transition plan. But I think if you ask me how young people, you asked how we contribute to the conversation.
Yeah.
If you ask me about how young people contribute, I would like to take it past the conversation. Because the thing about sustainability and climate change is, especially at the threshold that we are, even if the world doesn't warm again, and even if we decide to halt everything and go zero, I'm talking degrowth, we still cannot undo the damages that will come from what has already been done. Or we cannot undo the impact that's going to be felt from the change in weather patterns. And so if you ask me for young people, I'd say innovate. That's what I'd say. We're younger, we're more energetic, and I'd say we're more angry about the state of things, and we care about what the future looks like. And we're lucky to be in the thick of a tech revolution where AI tools and IoT tools have become more accessible. Innovate. Godwin spoke about agric. It's a mainstay of the Ghanaian economy, and we know that a lot of our farmers are subsistence farmers, and so they're struggling to grapple with the changes in weather pattern. This is not what they grew up on. This is not how things were when they were farming, and this is not what was taught to them. And so how we could navigate such a matter for young people is to, first of all, look at how we can collect data, try to be as accurate with the data. And because of given the informal nature of our system in Ghana, data collection, monitoring, and evaluation can be cumbersome. Develop tools. Develop tools that make this easier and democratize the problem. Develop tools that allow us to be able to make projections around weather patterns and weather forecasts so that we can take better decisions. I'm not to say that we shouldn't contribute to the conversation, but along with the innovation, there will come data.
Right.
Whether you fail, whether you don't fail, you will get the data. And with that data, you can make better advocacy to the point that even if it doesn't translate to policy, because policy, it takes a long time for policy to become policy.
It takes years.
It takes years. And in that time, impact will keep growing and being felt. So even if it doesn't appeal to policymakers, it will appeal to the business community. And people will see the need to make the investment in those tools, those solutions, those resources that allow us to grapple with climate change better.
Okay, so taking inspiration from what Nabeela just said, right, it's giving me the idea that sustainability should be a lifestyle. It should be a way of life for young people. We should walk the talk. We should actually adapt to some of these lifestyles and make sure that when we are taking action in our small ways, the concept of sustainability is central to it.
Can you give a practical example?
Okay, as I was speaking earlier, beyond the advocacy, using a reusable bottle is a practical example because I'm cutting down my waste. If I'm taking 8 bottles of water a day and I have my reusable bottle, taking the water from a dispenser, I don't end up littering the environment. Because you use a bottle right now and you don't even know where the bottle is going to end up in the next hour or two. And it piles up. Nobody knows where Accra waste is coming from because they don't write our names on the various waste we have in Accra. So that is a practical example. So for me, on a regular day, you find me having a reusable bottle in my bag because I want to cut down waste by a certain percentage, which I can't even calibrate or take data on. So again, the data collection is something we need to be deliberate about because we need data and facts to tailor our innovations to the various problems and then take critical actions.
Okay, so Sandra,
Yeah.
as young people, what do you think are some of the barriers or challenges to our active participation in climate change efforts?
That's brilliant. Because I mean, everybody is talking about innovation, sustainability. I mean, we should adapt. We should do this. Avoid the use of single plastics, as Godwin said. But all these things can't be achieved because of certain limitations, like one, limited resources. I mean, it runs across every sector or everything we do in the economy. Limited resource, we are influencing decision making policies, policy reforms. Everything boils down to limited resources. I think another example can be that we lack the presence of the youth on decision making spaces. I mean, this conversation has been around since forever, and I mean, some of us have grown to meet that conversation, and the youth are not involved in the decision making space. So what then? How then do they hear our voices? How they don't know what we want to do in terms of what's happening to our health now? Yes, and low awareness. I mean, every organization, every institution is doing something one or the other to create awareness on climate change. So they are talking about mitigation, adaptation, which are mostly interconnected. And if care is not taken, people just misuse it. So instead they take one and leave one, and I mean, we still come back to square one. Yes.
Yeah,
And
so
we have limitations.
for me,
Yeah.
they say young people are the future,
Yeah.
but that same future begins today. Myself and Nabeela has been in the business of advocacy for a couple of years now, about 5 to 8 years now. But what has been common has been the issue of tokenism. You just need young people to be present. They just tick the boxes. 5 young people were present at this meeting, and then they were given this DSA and this allowances, and they were asked to ask specific questions that they know they can answer.
Yeah.
But what actually bothers us, they don't really care, because when you bring them up, they shoot it down.
Yeah. It's true.
So tokenism has become a thing. They just need them to represent, and then you just go tick the boxes. That is a very big barrier.
Yeah,
And I know for sure that my very good friend Nabeela is running an innovation. That is the go-to initiative. Sandra also has a podcast. And there are challenges in this.
Yeah.
Sometimes even getting the right space to even record your podcast is an issue. Getting the right technical people to come break down the jargons is an issue.
Yeah.
Getting funding
Ah.
is an issue.
Yeah.
Getting the support of maybe government policy on SME or a startup development becomes an issue. If it's not maybe UNICEF having an innovation lab to actually expose them to mentorship and other things, they don't really get that required support and then that good space and environment to do what they're supposed to be doing. If I say I'm a climate advocate, how many radio stations in Ghana give room for environmental conversations? Unless there's a flood somewhere, or unless there's a fire somewhere,
Yeah, it's very
then here that
Very
one has come here.
reactionary.
This person has gone here, but it should be a regular conversation we should be having.
It's true.
So I
Okay.
think these are some of the barriers. I don't know if Nabeela has something to say on that.
So I think that, so from where I'm coming from, I think that one barrier I see is fragmentation. I don't know, maybe somebody might shoot me with this example, but I'll try to make it.
But I can relate to that.
I'll try to make it and be as diplomatic as I can.
Okay.
Right.
But in the first time in the history of this country, we have a minister of climate.
Yeah.
And my organization hasn't visited him yet, but his office has been active. They've been on the ground, they've been receptive, which is good. What I've noticed is I've seen so many organizations go to the office as units. And when I say so many, I mean so many I've lost track of. And I wondered to myself, if I was the minister and I wanted to truly collaborate with these vibrant organizations and pull change, who do I prioritize? Whose issues that have been brought to the fore do I push over the other? Because climate change issues are multifaceted.
Highly.
Yeah.
At least on this podcast, we've spoken about mitigation and adaptation. We have youth-led organizations doing either or.
Exactly.
And all of them are going in units to the minister. I think to make the minister's work easier, what we could have done is form a consolidation.
Yeah.
We have pressing climate issues.
Yeah.
We can pick 2
And
say,
prioritize.
Honourable Minister, for year 1, this is what we want to hit. These are the targets we want to hit.
Yeah.
And these are the issues we want to address. For year 2, this is what we want to do. For year 3, this is what we want to do. And for year 4, this is what we want to do. It brings a focused, tailored approach to what we're doing, to the work that the youth is doing. It makes our work almost undeniable. Like if we're able to come together like that, we're able to make measurable impact that's felt in the community, that tells the good number story. Even policy will not be able to ignore us.
Yes.
And investment, money and funding and spending will not be able to ignore us. So I agree with them, but for me, coming where I come from as a social entrepreneur, I would wish that in a country like ours, where there's very limited funding, very limited locally garnered philanthropy cash, consolidation is where we win. As usual.
Right off what she just said, right? Youth-led organizations are having some sort of unhealthy competition because they want to go noticed. They want to be like the hallmark of climate innovation. So I'm looking at how I can sabotage my colleague or how I can actually take lead on an innovation and be seen out there. They don't want to collaborate. They don't want to come together. I know they have the Youth Climate Council, but how many youth-led organizations are even there? And who is even in charge of this Climate Council? And what is he or she doing wrong that no one is coming on board?
So, Godwin.
I mean, there should be a hard fact to this.
Okay.
Right? I'm trying to be very diplomatic on this. But what has to be said has to be said. Because it's like we all know what is going on and nobody's willing to talk about it. It's getting abnormal and everybody feels it's normal, but it's never normal. You see, so the hard facts has to come out. Young people have to understand that we need to collaborate. We don't have to work in silos. We need collaboration. Because if we have a united front and we know what we need at any point in time, support will follow. Support will follow.
Right. So having said this, how can NGOs practically come together and develop a concerted approach, a synergistic approach to tackle issues of climate change in Ghana?
So
how can they work in tandem?
I understand where you're coming from with this question. But the thing is that the climate space is highly multifaceted, as Nabeela established earlier on. There are different areas of operations when it comes to climate action. If you have an organization that is focused on waste management, and I am also on waste management, then let's come together and have a joint program. We can have our logos on the same flyer to advertise our innovation. So instead of, let's say, working in silos, let's put ourselves in clusters.
Okay.
Right? Let's clusterize ourselves. So that when it comes to issues around waste management, we know this cluster is where we are going to. When it comes to issues about energy, we are coming to this cluster. When we have issues about climate policy, we are going to this cluster. So beyond coming together to work as a unit, let us clusterize ourselves and work together.
And sorry, I think I already forget one thing. Climate finance.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's crying for funding. We want this. All these small organizations are all writing products for funding. But I think there are specific climate funds for specific climate initiatives. I mean, for example, taking the green climate finance, their funding is more towards to adaptation method. So, I mean, you have to look for the type of fund that you want that is tailored towards what you are doing. Because, I mean, the fund is not just there, like sitting in a box. If you want the fund, you just go for it. No, you have to, I mean, search for opportunities out there to fund what you are doing. So, I mean, I think there should also be, like, a cluster of climate funders that are, like, willing to fund what you're doing.
Because if you look at EPA, for example, right? EPA, they have different units. Clean air, they have energy, they have different policies and all of that. So if we have 5 NGOs in a cluster that's working on clean air, they can work directly with the energy, with the clean air unit of EPA. So they'll have a proper way of working, very streamlined and structured. Because I cannot say I'm doing clean air and I find myself in an energy forum, there's a linkage,
could
but it's so
actually.
far.
It's all under the same
There's a
umbrella,
linkage, but it's too far.
too far.
Because I mean, you have to go through different processes,
Exactly.
right? Pollution is there,
Yeah.
linked to clean air, understandably. Energy, it can be extraction, processing. I mean, there are
Can
different
be
things.
emissions.
Yes,
Emissions.
emissions too as well, right? But that is, let's say, a bit distant from, let's say, reaching out to someone who is doing clean air advocacy,
Yeah.
or someone who is, let's say,
It's actually not distant, and perhaps that's why we need to work together. Because if you live in, like, for urban areas, especially Ghana, we're not industrial, so most of our emissions will be coming from cars.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
if you look at the way our cities are planned, the way cities are planned away from urban areas are planned away from urban areas, facilitate a lot of useless movement.
I mean, that's true. Our transport system is a
Useless
lot.
So
movement, our
bad.
transport system is a problem. So it's actually linked, and that's why I guess, and you would find that in climate work, it's very few at times that two sectors are too far from each other.
I understand that.
It's so intersectional.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it's economic, social, environmental, everything is so intersectional. And that's why for NGOs, I think that they should be able to come together, sit together. Like, NGOs, if there's one thing we know how to do, is workshops and conferences.
That's very
Have
true.
another one. Have another one. Sit down. You would find a sweet spot of things, just that one thing that is a burden for all of the NGOs that will be in the room. And if not, the rest can compromise and say, this is what we're doing. This is what interests us as a consolidation and as unit NGOs. This is what it's very possible. Yesterday, 2 days ago, SIGRA organized a budgeting consultation with the Ministry of Finance. And at the end of the workshop yesterday, we said, okay, look, guys, NGOs don't really like collecting money from government. We close our eyes to them. But USAID is teaching us something that we probably need to come back home. So all the organizations in the room, there was CDKN, Abantu, CASA, Impact Footprint, we all said, okay, from this point on, we're going to have a WhatsApp group. And what will we do in the WhatsApp group? There's a budget cycle, a national budget cycle that spans from January to December. There are important hearings and consultations in there that NGOs are rarely invited to or we don't know of. At least what we can do is we can make it our duty now to notify ourselves of when these hearings are coming, notify ourselves of windows, like budget prep windows. That way you can, go to an MMDA and find a place of alignment with the MMDA so that you can have access to maybe their social services budget and stuff like that. And so that's a working group at the end of the workshop. And this is towards finance, internally generated funds. So in this breath, we've been able to do it because money is a problem for everyone.
Everyone.
It's a story. Money is a story.
Is.
I understand, you understand. So we're capable of coming to that understanding, and just takes yet another workshop, yet another town hall, and NGOs can get there.
Okay.
And even sometimes it has to do with the repetition of projects. I went to Dodowa last week. Plan International had a solar project in the school.
You get into trouble.
It was abandoned.
Okay.
A different organization came, did the same thing, but it wasn't sustainable because they left the panels, the batteries, the inverters, and then the community people came to take it. Community involvement wasn't part of the entire process. So the community could even serve as a watchdog to that innovation that was actually helping with teaching and learning outcomes and improving the general output of the community when it comes to education. So that's another problem on community involvement in social projects, right? And also the repetition of projects here and there. I don't want to get into problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Godwin, earlier on you mentioned the EPA.
Yes.
And I heard you also mention the use of single-use plastics.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, the EPA and by extension government placed a ban on single-use plastics.
Yeah.
I think it's being implemented in the formal sector. specifically universities, airports, and then large-scale supermarkets. And there's a plan to extend this to the informal sector, targeting local markets and then street vendors. Do you think this is feasible in the short term, Godwin?
In the short term, I mean, taking a step is okay, but with the timeline, I can't really say about. Because the canker.
But what do you define as short term?
Okay.
Say 1 to 5 years.
Okay, 1 to 5 years. For me, I think if not there, but there will progress there. Like if we are not there yet, we will make a very good progress. Hopefully, maybe after the 3rd year, we can start seeing the impact. As you said, policy takes time, and it has started. Implementation is also another phase of the whole discussion. And for me, I feel like it's a very good step that has been taken. But looking at the time frame with actual policy implementation, I don't think it's feasible.
Looks like policy implementation is a challenge in Ghana.
Yeah.
We have a lot of policies.
All over the world.
Okay.
I don't think it's the nature of policy, passing a policy.
Because like you are trying to reorient people's mindset and way of life.
And there are a lot of nuances.
Yes.
And
There are a
people's
lot of
choices.
nuances to
Yeah.
passing a policy. But I'm especially interested in that question because last year my organization was in Makola to do Eco Makola.
Okay.
And it wasn't a plastic prevention or ban project. We went into Makola to understand what was the relationship between the market folk, buyers and sellers, what was the relationship between the market folk and single-use plastics, and what alternatives could drive a cultural change. No. So to answer that bluntly, no, it's not possible. Because you're dealing with cultural elements as well. You find that for the plastic bag, you'd actually find that Ghanaians like the black one.
Way of life.
The black one.
You notice they like the black
means
one.
privacy.
It means privacy.
Right.
It means respect.
Yeah.
And you notice that sometimes, especially t-shirts, will come in a very tacky plastic bag.
Yeah.
And people still like
it.
It represents novelty.
Yes.
This thing is new. Privacy and convenience. Basically, it's convenience.
The convenience.
Yeah.
And there's also the economic aspect. A controversial take from my team from last year is that we're in no position to ban plastics. We're butchering ourselves economically. I think it's arrogant to try that.
But this is contributing to the carbon
But
footprint.
you know the interesting thing? We have the Ghana Industries of Plastic Producers, right? That's someone's business. They pay tax to government. And you have the EPA.
They are regulated by the government.
Also by the
To
government.
produce plastic.
To produce.
Yes.
To produce.
Right?
Yes.
So this is someone's hand-to-mouth job.
Yeah.
And you abandon it. What's the alternative for the person?
Because well, I'll tell you what. One of the alternatives we designed with the market folk.
Yeah.
And then we gave the bags to them for free. And everybody took the bags after we had consulted with them and all. So I was hearing you talk about community consultancy, you don't know the half of it. After we had consulted with them and all. So we gifted them the bags.
Okay.
And then I was just there and I said to my team, I said, guys, gifting is one thing. When people buy, they make a choice or they make a vote for it.
Exactly.
So we took the bags back. We subsidized the price.
Now
everybody had a problem with the bags. Everybody. And then they said, holes no, esusudodo, or being tall, nebode. And then at a certain section, when we got to a certain section, they said, oh, China for a day, bag nearby is a reusable bag also. Lighter, cheaper is 1 cedi a bag. We had subsidized to 15 cedis. This is reusable, they tell us. This is reusable. 1 cedi is 15 cedis. Ours is upcycled, made from fishing nets and old flour bags. They couldn't sell, and that's it. They don't like it. It's simple as that. It's not a convenient alternative.
Yeah, that's true.
What would the convenient alternative be to them? The Chinese ones that will still contribute to carbon footprint.
Exactly.
So I think that we look at the plastic issue and pollution issue in black and white terms, but the science is different. And more than anything, we need to be investing in if you ask me again, innovation and tech, in the research and the development. Ghana doesn't have even a plastic recycling facility.
I recall.
You know, we didn't a pet to pet.
Okay, pet to pet.
Except for the one that I think Mohinani Group just put up.
Yeah.
And then even the standardization for that Mohinani Group, the plastic producer had to fund it. So we have internal lapses. We have a lot of things to deal with before we go on and say ban it. Your people's economic realities, their cultural realities, your lapses in investment, your resource availability. And you'd hear people say Rwanda and Kenya.
Exactly. I was
And
coming to
nobody
that.
beats about Rwanda and
Kenya, how they got there.
story that it's taken a decade. And nobody also, you know, when we went into Makola, you know, one thing that one of the ladies asked us, said, so if you ban the black one, so now weighing swear, you know what she meant by weighing swear? She sold women's panties, and they came in dozens or half a dozen.
Yeah.
And from China, they came in plastic bags. They came in plastic packaging. So she asked you, when you make us stop this one, what about this one? And when you go into the market, at the end of the day, when it's closed, those are the ones you see in heaps. The ones that came as, you know, that accompanied the imports. The packaging, what do you do with that? And Rwanda is still struggling with that.
So how about putting a price on these plastics?
You want to develop human-centered solutions. When you do that, it's arrogance because it is not human-centered. And that's why I gave the
two plastic scenarios, the alternative
scenarios. That was 1
scenarios.
CDs, and this is 15 CDs, and we feasibly and realistically cannot make an upcycled bag for even 5 CDs. It's not possible unless we probably test with some tech and innovation. That's why I'm bullish about R&D. That's why I'm bullish about young people also in the fight for climate action and in addressing climate change. Play with engineer stuff. You know, you've done chemistry, you've done physics, you've done engineering. Play with stuff, play with scraps, see what you can put together that can actually change waste to wealth, and that can help us cut down carbon footprint. I think any policymaker or any business person or any regulatory body would be interested in solutions like that.
Can we just go back to carrying baskets to the market?
Wait, it reminded me of, I know, it just reminded me of the recent landfills landmark event that just ended in May.
Yeah.
I mean, but that one is more tailored to like textile sustainability, what they can do, secondhand clothing. So I mean, it's like we are working in circles. Like, I mean, circular economy, climate, recycle. What are we doing?
We need to be defined on what we're doing. And we cannot be defined on what we're doing if there's multi-units attempting to do the same things.
So we don't focus.
Outside of Ghana and outside of youth participation all around the world, you can look up how many definitions there are for climate change. A billion. How many there are for carbon emissions, carbon footprints. A billion. Can we narrow these down, and then can we have frameworks to navigate?
To regulate.
Exactly.
Without all of that, it seems to be that everybody's
just yeah.
Okay.
Recycled efforts.
Circular efforts.
So you mentioned some of the alternatives to these challenges. So what then are the benefits of these small changes in the long run, especially on the environment and on our health?
My controversial take is there are no benefits for small changes.
But for me,
oh really?
Is it like
but for me, the optimistic me, it's like small changes compounds.
Okay.
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, and baby steps.
Yeah.
At least you can have the impact, but it's not going to be as we expected, because it's like we take a step forward. Yeah, we take a step forward, 2 steps backwards, a step forward, 2 steps backwards.
Just like little drops of water make a mess.
And but
that's where young people come in.
Yeah. Yes. So
we
I think
consolidate.
So we just need to
take
take
data.
We just need to take charge.
Yeah.
And I mean, avoid working in silos. Lead the work, and let them understand that the tomorrow you're talking about belongs to us, and this is how we want it designed.
avoid working in silos. Can you touch on everyday habits that can reduce the carbon footprints?
For everyday habits.
Yeah.
I think this is a go-to affair because sustainability is a lifestyle for them.
You see, it's sort of what we've been discussing. Carbon footprint.
mean-
Here's the thing, and we can look it up. The audience can look it up too.
Okay.
Even if Ghana decides to go net zero tomorrow, it wouldn't do anything to carbon emissions.
Yeah, that's true.
Our collective emissions are intangible.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
even as
That's true.
Africa.
The thing I
Yeah.
keep advocating for as young people also is that we can't run with the same science
No.
that the climate change fight has run with. You have to challenge the science.
Yeah.
And so you have to do what's more pragmatic for you. The Ghana government, the budget that's given to climate work, I think only 16% goes to mitigation.
Yeah.
And I think 60 something or 70 something. I butcher numbers, so forgive me. But when you see it yourself, you see
You
I'm
know
not too
that.
far.
Yeah.
Only 60 or 70 something percent, sorry, more of the money goes to adaptation.
Adaptation.
That's because
Adaptation.
Keta see defense. If we reduce our carbon footprint, it doesn't save people.
Yeah, it doesn't save you.
I'm
Yeah.
from Wa, my auntie in Chego. If we reduce our carbon footprint and if we do small actions to come, by the time we finish, Chego will be wiped out from starvation.
Completely.
Because the millet, when they put it in, the rain doesn't come when it needs to come. And it's an
Zero
agrarian
yield.
community. So that's why I don't believe in small changes, because that's from a place of privilege when I live in Accra. But when you live in Manson Cry, yes,
Live in
small
Keta.
changes,
Yeah.
you live in Keta. By the time the small changes will compound, you're dead. You've been wiped off the map. So
Very
we
true.
need to put our money where our mouths are at. If you're an angry youth, consolidate, innovate, R&D. There's no money, I will say. I'm not saying there's money. There's no money. But if you're angry enough, I think studies show that activists who act on their anger or people who act on their ideals are more happy than those who have their ideals and don't act on it. So you find fulfillment. And if you're good enough, eventually the money will come. But, consolidate, R&D, innovate, make the right alliances. Put your money where your mouth is at. And that's for us. For us, give those who have the money a reason to put
support.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's
So
right.
that's true. Well, my last words would be like, everyone, from individuals to institutions, has a role. Small, consistent efforts spark big changes. So let's act now for a greener tomorrow.
Okay, so you don't agree with her?
No, small changes.
Great.
Every small thing counts.
Okay, so to be diplomatic,
Okay.
I'll say I understand.
But it
both
looks like you always
points.
want to be diplomatic.
That's how it's supposed to be. I understand where both of them are coming from.
Okay.
From a point of privilege
Yeah.
and then from a point of scarcity, I must say. Because at the end of the day, those out there, that is just their source of livelihood.
Exactly.
There's nothing they can depend on. And they're actually having that, like the impact of that is way, like too serious for them. So isn't now I can't think
Okay.
but from
I think I have one question to ask.
Okay.
Let's say we've got 1 million tons of plastics in the system right now, and we've got tons of textile waste
Oh,
in
my
the system
goodness.
right now. And let's just say we all decide today to never use plastics again, or never allow textiles into our landfills. Does that make the plastic that
Vanish.
takes 100 years vanish? No.
it will decay.
You're better off committing
Yeah.
to the big problems you've created,
Exactly.
making big, bold decisions,
Yeah.
and tackling them head on because they don't go with your
They
small
don't go.
changes.
Okay.
Okay. Any last words? Sandra?
Small, consistent efforts spark big change.
Let's work together.
Exactly. Let's work
work
together.
Let's work together. Let's take action.
Take action. For a greener tomorrow. If
It's
you
our
want to
collective
be-
responsibility,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
We're all
Everyone.
involved.
Yes, everyone is
When the
involved.
impact is coming, it doesn't say this is a Ghanaian, this is a
Exactly.
Nigerian, or this is a Fultarian, an Ivorian, or an Ashanti. No,
Exactly.
it's against each and every one of us. So we need to consolidate
Yeah.
and then take action together. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
So we know Ghana is a party to the Paris Agreement and we're participating in this year's COP. What are your expectations for us for this year? And as youth, how can we contribute to the discourse on COP? Godwin?
So for me, this is the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement on climate change as a development agenda. And central to development is energy transitions. So I look forward to a more just and fairer energy transitions where youth will be placed at the forefront to create employment and also bring out relevant innovations that will support the future we'll all look out for. Thank you.
Okay.
Nabeela?
I think in the spirit of facilitating multilateralism and action, I hope that this COP births a new dawn of actual and real collaboration where polluting countries especially become more proactive in facilitating resource and knowledge exchange to countries like ours to build resilience and adaptation against climate change impacts.
Right. Sandra?
Well, mine will be on the support for adaptation in agriculture because I'm currently working on a project where we are working for like how SMEs in agribusiness can attain climate finance. So I mean, for me, I wanted to push for the financing of climate smart agriculture. Like I mean, how to access the funds very easy for the SMEs in agribusiness. Yeah.
Great. Sounds good. So, to end the session, I recall somewhere last week there was a national dialogue on climate change, and one key takeaway I got from that was that if we are not careful, we're going to miss our eye on the ball and blame everything on climate change. I think that's something we should think about. And so this has been the YDG podcast. Thank you so much for your audience. Do well to subscribe to our channel and react to us.